It's Monday morning. It's a fabulous day to wake up and enjoy your cup of coffee. You know, David and I have been doing this now for 3.5 years. And, we struggle sometimes to try and break out ideas that are being left out in the mainstream media, which is pretty much what we've tried to do for the last 3.5 years. Though a lot of you believe that it's more rhetoric on the right, it really isn't. It rules for me, not for thee. I have the cliches. I've been touting them for 3.5 years. It makes David almost want to sour his stomach. I use him so much. But let's be honest. It seems to be what's good for me isn't good for you because you don't deserve it. Hi, everybody. My name's Stuart Brisgell. That's David, my co-host, who lifts his eye like Leonard Nimoy and Spock. Kind of a combination today. This is a podcast dedicated on covering news, weather, and sports. Why do I say weather? The weather that fixes all in politics, because it's weather. Today it's sunny, tomorrow it's cloudy, and every 4 years, the country is divided in two hurricanes, one on the right, one on the left, and they're vacuums. But we're going to dive into this political quirk of existence today. We're going to vent over daily lives and frustrations that shape our world. There's a place for it under the Rant Network. Get comfortable. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern, unedited, unfiltered, whether I miscommunicate or not. David, we have watched from the 2016 election and even before, from little Debbie Wasserman Schultz wanting to step on the necks of the Republicans to the deplorables to Maxine Waters, rise up and fight, to Pelosi, fight, take a knee. I mean, these people have no moral fortitude because what they do, it's acceptable. But what anyone else does is not acceptable. We all went to school, and I think the best memory that we all have is high school. The kids that would do it and then cry about it later. David, there are a bunch of crybabies out there. What do you got to say?
Well, listen, I'm okay. This is an interesting way of starting it, but the truth of the matter is that it is, once again, I don't know how else to start but by saying, wake up, people. The United States needs to wake up. And the wake-up call is, when you hear rhetoric of the threat to democracy, and they say Donald Trump is the threat to democracy, it isn't Donald Trump. It's the accusers of people yelling that he is the threat to democracy. This rhetoric nearly got him killed twice, and people are saying, no, you can't blame the Democrats for that. I don't know about that. But when you equate Donald Trump to Hitler and an autocrat, and you make these kinds of remarks, and you create this kind of chaos, you are creating a divisive country. I've said this before, and on January of 2021, Joe Biden said he was going to unify the country. Enough with the rhetoric. We're going to unify the country. Instead, on numerous occasions, both he and his vice president, Kamala Harris, have both spewed hate, divisive rhetoric, and have encouraged the media to continue to do so. When you have ladies on The View, and I'm being respectful because, I don't like to, denigrate anybody, but the ladies on The View are a perfect example. When Donald Trump was a Democrat and wasn't running for politics, was welcomed with open arms by Barbara Walters and the rest of the crew into that studio. And the moment in 2016 he wanted to run for Republican, he was enemy number one. Amazing. If you're not on my side, you are on my enemy. And I'll tell you how far this has gone. Think about it. A few years ago, 2 African Americans were denied using the toilet at a Starbucks. Starbucks shut down all of their stores across the United States for a day of understanding, training, sensitivity training. Well, J.D. Vance tried to go to the same restaurant that Kamala Harris went to, and 2 things occurred. One, J.D. Vance and his crew were denied. Now, they said it was a mistake. One of the waitresses freaked out over the cameras and wouldn't let him in. People walked out offended. What do you mean in 2024 that you're not going to serve anyone? Like, why would you deny them? Had that person been gay, transgender, we would have had liberal media freaking out. Cameras by the thousands at that restaurant. The owner would be nuts. But it's a Republican. It's okay. Now, Kamala Harris's staff found it interesting because they got served and they were okay to go in, and they trolled JD Vance just to show you to the extent of how low can you go. But the thought that we are denying a service to anyone in 2024, oh, it's a Republican. It's okay. This is the divided mentality that is now in the United States. You're with me or you're against me. And it seems to be that the party that says it's the most open and inclusive encourages exclusivity, excluding you and me. As a Jew, I'm not welcome in the Democratic Party, no matter what they say. Even African Americans and Hispanics are going, this isn't right. People are waking up to the realization that the Democratic Party has been doing doublespeak, right? Back to 1984. Doublespeak. Say one thing, do another. And here you are as a great example of that. Now, I don't understand if this is supposed to be the party of welcoming me by telling me I'm a terrorist, welcoming that, or that's what you're calling welcoming me. Criticizing is one thing. Denigrating is another. And that seems to be the rhetoric of the party. Now, I know what you're going to say. Donald Trump called Kamala Harris mentally ill. That is considered hate speech, boys and girls. That is considered unacceptable. But to call Donald Trump Hitler #2, to call him, a threat to democracy, that's okay. The words matter. We've said it many times here, but it's incredible, Stuart. And I'm going to punt this back to you. In what way can Donald Trump not do right? In what way? Like, he can't say anything without getting criticized. But the Democratic Party, how dare you? How dare you? And I know where you're going to go with Hillary and her deplorables remark. But ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to understand, at what point are the Democrats going to be called out for their shit?
They're not. And that's the way you simply have to do it. You see, Donald Trump and Whoopi Goldberg go back to the 80s and 90s, right? They were good bosom buddies. They were bagel buddies. They had breakfast together. They had coffee together. When he was on the Fifth, on NBC, it was a great time. It was awesome, right? The world loved Donald Trump, from the Jeffersons to the nanny to Howard Stern. I mean, they all couldn't get enough of Donald Trump. And for over a decade, you had The Apprentice, one of the higher grossing shows on NBC at its time. In fact, I think it rivaled Days of Our Lives as far as watching. I got to tell you, the hatred towards their competitors is something that is unbelievable. Every 4 years, the United States divides into two camps, Democrats and Republicans, as do many countries. But the change is the vitriolness that's acceptable by one, but not acceptable by another. Like I started the rant, David, rules for me and not for thee. What's good for me isn't good for you. I'm privileged. And we all revert back to thinking back to our early years. And for most people, it's high school or college. And again, the workplace, things run rampant all the time. And I can't tell you enough about what this feels like, what it looks like. Trying to assassinate a member of the government not once but twice, and it's his fault. It's insanity at best. There's no other way to describe insanity. That's what I got to tell you.
David? Stuart, it's not just an insanity. I think it's just unacceptable. And you know what? If you're going to tell me that that's what you call leadership, and I think that this is the funny thing. We are the leaders. We know best, blah, 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 all these kinds of statements again and again and again. And then you go and you do elementary school antics. Come on. I've seen numerous reporters trying to ask these politicians since the second assassination attempt, don't you think you should amp it down? No. Saturday Night Live mocks the assassination. And I know Saturday Night Live's about rhetoric and joking, but did we joke when Ronald Reagan was almost assassinated? Okay, not a chance. Would we have made that kind of mockery of Obama or of Biden or, God forbid, Kamala Harris? If someone tried to assassinate Kamala Harris, what would happen? But instead, it's Donald Trump. It's a Republican. It's J.D. Vance, denied to go into a restaurant. It's a Republican. Anytime it's a conservative, it's okay. And you know what? People are waking up to this realization, Stuart. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, a few weeks ago, and I want to tell you something. In talking to the people there, the media is going to lambaste you if you try to support Donald Trump. They're trying to intimidate you if you're trying to support Donald Trump. They're trying to go after you if you support J.D. Vance, that you're something must be wrong with you that if you're doing that. But the people are saying enough is enough. They're reading the tea leaves, that they see what's going on here, that the promises made by the Democratic Party are not being delivered. And you started with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And you know what? People are really sick and tired of this. Now, listen, they don't love the Donald Trump statements. They don't care for that. They want food on the table. They want to lower their cost of living. They want to get rid of crime. They're sick and tired of the immigration problem, the border, etc., etc., etc. The name calling that you hear from a Nancy Pelosi, who, God forbid, you should even question. I don't know if you saw her interview with Jake Tapper, Stuart, but Nancy Pelosi, well, God forbid, you should criticize the Democratic Party. No, the only people who criticize the Republicans, the Democrats are Teflon. How dare you? You have no right. We are the party. That's what I'm paraphrasing her. This is the mindset, the arrogance, the absolute sheer arrogance by the Democrats. And voters are picking up on that problem. They're picking up on all that crap. It is fascinating to me how many times you could hear the same shit, the same statements over and over again by the Democrats. And we'll see tomorrow, Stuart. Tomorrow's the VP debate. Let's see if CBS does what ABC did. Bullshit and lie, sway and pull, insult and denigrate. Let's see if they do that, because Vance Walz is not the same thing as Trump and Harris. I don't think Vance is gonna fall for the same thing that Donald Trump did, and I don't think Walz is gonna survive tomorrow. And so, to me, this is going to be proof positive. How many more name calling are we going to hear from Walz and Harris, and how much more are they going to insult Republican voters?
David, I don't think there is literally going to be a fair and balanced debate.
Yeah.
And, it's not possible at this point, but I think J.D. Vance, a skilled attorney, is going to be able to make mincemeat of the coach just off his military record, because he's a yellow belly. That's what you call this guy. There's a title. It's a name. Not calling you a name like a jerk. Someone that doesn't show for when they get called is a yellow belly. And he's a chicken. And he's going to get called out being a chicken. I'm going to enjoy it. I really am.
But you know what? Think about the comments made of J.D. Vance. He's in a mixed marriage, and they insulted him about white children. They insulted him about, there is no limit. So do I think that Walz is not going to go after J.D. Vance in some way? Let's be prepared for tomorrow night.
Look, I would be, I will not be surprised when there are racists on air. David, we got to wrap this up, because you know what I did?
We're done.
My wife's car is blocked in, and I need to get her an Uber to get her to work. Wow. All right, guys, any last words, David?
Not after that remark. Let's go.
I know. And that's a wrap today. You see, guys, live, never filtered, and life's unexpected events happen at a moment's notice. It's a pleasure sharing these thoughts with you. Sorry for my distractions. I know I'll hear about it in our PMs. But again, guys, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern, stay connected with us. We spend a ton of time trying to make all of our episodes available to you, dating back 3.5 years, if you want to think about how many that is. And guys, you know what? We love the comments. Keep them coming. Please subscribe on YouTube. That's how we get more traction. Subscribe on Facebook. Again, it helps us get the message out. If you like what you hear, like us, share us, listen to us. David, last words before I say goodbye.
Enjoy the debate tomorrow. It's going to be a hoot.